Hi, I'm Jen with the Faithful Sidekicks. Today I'm here to talk to you about a game I just love called 5 Minute Dungeon. This is a cooperative board game that is played to a timer. So everyone's working together, but there is a definite blood pumping pressure element to this because you're racing against the clock. The setup for the game, everyone gets to choose their own character. Each character has a deck of cards and a board. There's 2 options that use the same deck. Each one is a different power. I'll get into those later. And so everyone would shuffle up their deck. And then you start by going through, trying to take on the first of the series of 5 bosses. I hate when I blank on words. So we start by taking on the baby barbarian. Doing that, each boss will tell you how many standard doors go into the deck, and the standard doors are going to be things like this monster that is lots and lots of zombies, or this person that provides an overly dramatic monologue, or an obstacle that is just a bunch of stairs. Each of these doors needs to be beaten using symbols. The symbols tell you what you need to do collectively, what you need to play in order to beat it. There's also going to be several Uber doors. They have either mini bosses or events on them. The mini bosses work much like the regular obstacles and monsters. There's a set of symbols, there's just more of them. And the events, you just do what it says. It might be something like everyone discards their hand, or everyone gives their hand to the same player, or everyone discards 3 cards. Something like that. And we're trying to collectively get through all of these doors, the regular and the nasties, and then get through the symbols on the boss board before the timer runs out. I have set up a 3-player game with a paladin, a huntress, and a wizard. In a 3-player game, everyone shuffles their deck, starts with 4 cards in hand, and then we would start the timer. We are all playing simultaneously, which means that when this first obstacle is turned up, which is actually a person, the person is exactly 26 ninjas. It requires 3 symbols to get past this one, a scroll and 2 running people. Hey, look, there's a scroll I can play right there. So as the timer's going, someone's throwing out a scroll, someone's throwing out a running man, and oh no, we don't have another. Well, as soon as you play a card, you draw up to your starting hand size of 4, and that didn't work. Then we start looking at, do we need any help from our powers? Powers allow you to discard 3 cards to make somebody else, I'm thinking, 3 cards from your hand, go into your discard pile, and you can then activate your power. In the case of the huntress, choose another player to draw 4 cards. Let's see if the paladin is going to get a running man. Did not. And play continues like this until somebody plays the second. Right. Look, there's another running man. Now we would move on to the next card, the next door. And oh my goodness, it's a wizard of ill repute, a mini boss. And play would go on like that as the timer's counting down. The wizard can discard cards to pause time. As soon as somebody plays a card, timer starts again. But that gives everyone a moment to breathe and to kind of compare notes. An important thing to note, and it's easy to forget this or not realize it the first time you're playing this game, you have your deck of cards. When you play them, they are then out of the game. When you discard them, they are in your discard and you can't get to them again. You're not eventually going to run out of cards and grab your discard and shuffle. That is not an option. You only go through your deck once. So the only way to get the cards from your discard back is through some special cards that give healing. So all players draw 3 cards from the top of their discard pile, or some such thing, and then those would either go in hand, or some of the healing cards let you just put them back on top of your draw stack. But once you're out of cards, you're out. So there's a certain strategy, perhaps basic, but considering you're running against the clock, it's still actually plenty of strategy. Do I discard and use my power, or do I just keep trying to play cards as fast as I can? So that's the basic game. That it's nice that the rule set in terms of how you play is simple, because there's not really time to explain how to play as you're playing, because there's only 5 minutes, and each progressive boss is more difficult because there's more doors to get through and more symbols on that boss itself. So one of the fun things with this is there's a free app you can download. You can use any timer as long as it can be set to 5 minutes and has a pause function. Stops, and then restart. But they have an app you can download that is a lot of fun, because there's a lot of different voices to choose from, including the spooky voice, or the dramatic voice, or the sarcastic one who's just completely convinced you're going to die after the first door. It's a lot of fun, actually. This game works well 2 to 5 players. I've played it 2-player many, many times. There's actually quite a bit of dynamic in this game, even though it's really just a race against time, but you're all working together, and I highly recommend it. It's a lot of fun. Again, this is cooperative and set to a timer, so if that is not your cup of tea, then you might want to look elsewhere. But if that sounds appealing to you, then I highly recommend it.
And we'll fight, fight, fight in this raid tonight. Destroying mobs is our destiny. If we die, 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 we are not gonna cry. We will rise again, you will see. And it's all XP to me.